Alright, the Lakers actually set the tone with their defense for once, and a lot of it was stemming from their help, because in man, they were all in the gaps, then in zone, they always had their bigs parked in the middle of the floor, so they were compact consistently. That made it hard for the Mavs to find lanes, and they tried to run a lot of ball screens, but more times than not, they were getting funneled into pockets that weren't conducive to their offense, because the Lakers were willing to live with them taking short jumpers or floats, so the Lakers just had their bigs dropping against most of them. That forced them into settling for a lot of tough twos in the mid-range and shallow paint area, because they weren't able to get a deep paint touch, and even when they did, the Lakers always had help at the rim, so they didn't have much to show for their half-court offense. Coop just wasn't effective on the rock, because him and most of the others weren't able to consistently exploit the pockets the Lakers were giving up, so they basically had to rely on transition opportunities and trying to catch the Lakers' defense not being set just to score. Whenever they pushed the rock and was making the throw or bounce aheads, they were able to create quality looks, so at least they had a main source of offense. But on the other end, the Lakers were doing the same thing. All the stops were allowing the Lakers to get runouts, so they negated whatever offense the Mavs were generating in transition, and then in the half court, they were executing at a higher rate compared to the Mavs, because they obviously have Luka. As expected, it didn't matter what coverage the Mavs had their bigs in against Luka's screening actions, because whenever they had him drop, he exploited that space, and whenever they had him show, he got off the rock for the others on the Lakers to exploit the backside advantage, so Luka just had to make the right read depending on what he saw. Then against his ones, they weren't really committing a hard double unless it was a clear mismatch, so he just had to do the same on his ISO or post touches, and the coverages were basically the same against Braun. I even thought him, Smart, and Ayton were good early in the second, because at times, their offense can have a lapse once Luka's off the floor, but those three held it down, and the only issue was really just Ayton's touch. He was missing a lot of his floats, hooks, and putbacks, and those 5 straight misses in the second basically summarized his night. So the only thing worse than him transferring his touch over into the third was him transferring it over to the others, because as a team, they smoked a good amount of bunnies that quarter. They even missed some of the same looks from the first half, and all those misses were just one part of the Mavs coming back, because another part was just the Mavs' willingness to help more, especially against Luka and Braun. In both of their screening actions, their adjustment was to have Powell and Gafford switch. Then on their ones, they were more willing to commit a hard double, and they were all in the gaps more, so they were able to finally get stops. All the turnovers and breaks they were forcing led to a big 16-0 run early in the third, and that was all the momentum they needed to take control of the game by the end of the quarter, because those runouts shifted it in their favor, so they just carried that throughout. They even went on to carry it over into the fourth, so they eventually got up 15 in that quarter, and when they weren't just catching the Lakers' defense not being set, then B. Will was catching Ayton for being high, because off his ball screens, he burned Ayton 3 different times to get downhill. I think some of that was what led to JJ deciding to go small for the rest of the quarter, because B. Will and the rest of the Mavs were in a rhythm, so in order to contain the rock, he wanted to switch 1 through 5, and even though it didn't pay off immediately, it eventually did as the quarter progressed. In the last 8 minutes, they completely locked up the Mavs, so they went on their own big run of 21-4, and that led to them taking control of the game back, then them using that momentum to secure the win down the wire. The Mavs couldn't even score a single bucket until the end of the game, and I can't say they weren't trying, because they were hunting Luka throughout, but he played some of the best point of attack defense I've ever seen from him. They were not able to get by him, or really any of the Lakers, because every single one of them were taking on their matchup, so the Lakers were consistently containing the rock, and they only helped when they needed to. Those stops on defense were a part of their offense rolling again, especially Braun's, But what made it really roll was their small ball forcing the Mavs to match them, because with the Mavs bigs off the floor, that just opened up the paint, so they were able to get to the rim for lays or crash the O boards for cleanups. And on top of that, the Mavs still had no answer for Luka. Instead of the Mavs bigs, he just had to hunt Max, because whenever he found a lane, he scored, and whenever he drew two, he just continued making the right pass. So this performance was really some of his best two-way play. Just watch the tape.
And an appropriate finish by Luka Doncic.